We're good, Vincent, I think. It sounds a little nasally, but I think that's just my voice. Oh, maybe, yeah. Welcome, everybody. It's good to see everyone. We'll get started in a few minutes. Are we going to switch?
You did? Okay, okay.
So while we're waiting, I have a joke. Linda, this one's for you. Do we have anyone here that worked in the aerospace industry? Okay.
Aerospace.
All right, well, this one's for you. How do you plan? I think I already ruined it. I ruined it already, but we'll try it again. How do you organize a space-themed party?
How do you organize a space?
How do you organize a space-themed party?
Power Marshal.
You plan it.
No, that was good. Very good.
It's all uphill from there. It feels good to be here in the GRA, doesn't it?
Yeah.
It's like good old times. Well, that's true, but the good news is with these masks, I haven't had to brush my teeth for a year and a half, or mouthwash or anything. Yeah, or smile. All right, well, welcome everybody. Come on in and find a seat, and we'll get started in a couple of seconds, actually. Vincent, I think I broke it again.
Yes. One, two.
I'll just use this one. All right. Well, we just wanted to make sure everyone was awake. And thank you all for being here. We'll go ahead and get started. There will probably be a few more people that join us over the course of the next few minutes. But thank you for taking the time out of your day to be with us here for our State of the Business meeting. Can you believe it's October already? Wow. Well, thank you to everyone that has helped make sure that everything works okay. Thank you to Kendall and Dana for getting everything set up so that those that are not able to join us in person are able to join us through Zoom, through TLG Connect, and also through TLG TV, our in-house TV channel. So for those of you that are joining us remotely, welcome. We're glad that you're here. And if you're on the chat, if you're on the Zoom, if you're joining us through Zoom and you have any questions throughout the duration of today's presentation, feel free to send those questions through utilizing the chat feature, and we will do our best to get to all of those questions over the course of the next hour. And to those of you that are joining us here in person, welcome. We're glad you're here as well. Would like to take a brief moment to thank and recognize the Terraces of Los Gatos Community Advisory Board, who play an integral part in the operations and the strategic planning for the Terraces of Los Gatos and also for Human Good as a whole. I know we have at least a few advisory board members with us here in the GRA. Those that are here, if you wouldn't mind standing so that we can recognize you. Thank you very much for all that you do. Would like to extend a special thank you to Minda Parrish, who has served as the advisory board chair, and her term is up. And so we want to thank her for her service. It's been a weird time to be the advisory board chair over the past year and a half. And she's really done a wonderful job of keeping the work of the advisory board moving ahead, even through the challenges that we've been facing. So thank you very much, Minda, if you're joining us remotely. And would also like to thank Pam Bancroft, who has since stepped in to the role as advisory board chair. Thank you, Pam, if you're joining us as well, for filling that important role, and look forward to working closely with you over the course of the next year. We will be privileged to hear from another one of our past advisory board chairs in just a few minutes. But before we do that, I would like to invite Vincent Foresta to come up, and he has a special acknowledgement to share with the group.
Thank you, Bradley. Good afternoon, everyone. I'm up here today to recognize one of our many resident committees. I've been personally involved with this committee for a number of years now and have opportunity to see this committee grow and provide important feedback in keeping TLG grounds maintained. I would like to recognize the Garden Committee and all of its members today. The Garden Committee here at the Terraces of Los Gatos has been something very special to me. Over the past 5 years or so, I've had the opportunity to be involved and working alongside such passionate residents. The Garden Committee is an essential part of the TLG Terraces of Los Gatos. The committee is responsible for overseeing many areas of the community. They care for our roses in the summer courtyard. They keep track of assigning, maintaining the resident garden beds. They provide valuable feedback on plants and trees. They oversee plant health and maintenance. They get to be involved and provide feedback when any renovations to the grounds occur. And most importantly, they get to meet with other residents who are just as passionate about plants and gardens. Recently, after many years of service to the committee, 2 of our key members have decided to step down. These 2 members have gone above and beyond to oversee this committee and its success. I would like to take a moment to recognize both of them and everything they have done for this committee. You could please stand. Mr. Alan Friebel, Chair. And Co-Chair, Roberta Bondoli. Thank you both for everything you have done for this committee. I would also like to take a moment to acknowledge all the other members who are involved with supporting this committee. The dedication all of you have given in ensuring our grounds are being well maintained and looked after has been very much appreciated. The following residents of the committee, please stand. Mary Allen, Val Bredemeyer, Mike Burlow, Pat Garland, Linda Hutchinson, Bruce Matzner, Gloria Millen, Ganella Gillenberg, and Janice McGibbon. We thank all of you. Thank you. Yeah. Oh, one last thing I wanted to mention as well. If anyone's interested in joining the garden committee, to please contact myself. Thank you.
Thank you all very much. I realize that we didn't get a chance, those that are joining us remotely probably didn't get a chance to see you all. Would you like to come up to the front here real quickly, just so everyone that's joining us remotely can see your beautiful faces? Come on up. Yeah, all the members of the garden committee.
The frog committee.
And once again, let's give them all a round of applause. And would anyone from the committee like to say anything while we've got you up here, captive?
I started gardening at age 9. We moved up to Oregon. We were escaping the Japanese attack, and it was my joy and still is.
Well, I started at 5 years of age. A neighbor gave me for my birthday a box full of daffodil bulbs, hyacinths, tulips, all that. That's all. Whoops. Anybody else there? Pass it down.
I'd like to recognize Vincent and also Awazi because they have been tremendous in supporting this wonderful group of people. Every time we've had any kind of a concern, they've been there to support and help us. And I'd love to have everyone give Vincent right now and Wazid, though he isn't here, a big hand and
Yes,
say
thank
thank
you.
you so
Yes,
much.
thank you.
I'd like to thank every member of the community and our garden committee for their commitment to our beautiful grounds. The garden boxes are especially popular with a number of people, and we're happy to keep coordinating that. We also need to mention our 2 campus gardeners who are maintaining things. Everything's neat and clean, and we do appreciate them.
I think I was amazed when I came here to look at the rose garden. Whoever planted all those beautiful blooms deserves a round of applause also.
Oh, that was a long time ago.
Yes.
I just want to say to each and every one of you, if you have opinions, the best place to get them heard is to be on a committee. That is a commercial.
Once again, thank you all so much for your service on the garden committee. I would also like to thank all of the members of all of the committees that diligently serve our community. The work that our resident volunteer committees do here at the Terraces is so incredibly important. And we hope to have the opportunity to recognize more of our committees in coming months here at the State of Business meeting. And to reiterate what Ms. McGibbon said, we highly encourage residents to participate in the garden committee or any other committees within the community. There are a lot of volunteer opportunities. And if anyone would like to learn more about volunteer opportunities on any of the committees, they should speak with
Bradley.
anyone. Just talk to someone and we'll put you to work. Either reach out to myself, reach out to Flo Creighton, resident council president. Sharon Roth has her hand up, reach out to her.
You don't need to be a member to attend a meeting and see whether you'd like to join that committee.
Great, so for anyone who didn't hear that, you don't need to be a member of the committee to join a committee meeting. So residents are welcome to join and dip their toes in the committee waters and see if it's warm enough.
Is there a list of committees somewhere?
There absolutely is a list of committees somewhere. Yes, there is.
It used to be on the bulletin board in the mailroom. It's disappeared. I'll make sure it gets put up again.
Perfect.
There's 13 committees.
It's on the website.
Great. We'll make sure that that is easily accessible for everybody. All right. Moving on in the agenda. This is when we would typically invite Linda Price to come on up. But before we do that, I skipped ahead too far. Would like to invite Jody Smith from the advisory board to come on up. And we're going to have the opportunity to get to know Jody a little bit.
What a pleasure it is to be back here in the GRA with all of you. I wish we didn't have to wear masks, but that's what our life is like now. So this is a picture of me without a mask. So thank you very much for inviting me. I have been on your advisory board since 2011. I served as chair for 7 years until we passed it to Minda Parish and now to Pam Bancroft. I'm going to go a little bit into my education. I have a degree in microbiology from San Jose State University. I did my postgraduate education and internship at Santa Clara Valley Medical Center. I attended the Stanford School of Medical Informatics, and I have licensure at the state and national level as a clinical laboratory scientist. I started my career as a clinical laboratory scientist in hematology, chemistry, and microbiology. And then I went on to laboratory information services. From there, I managed the laboratory information services section. And then I was recruited to Houston, Texas, in order to develop software for laboratories throughout Europe and the United States. I was hired back at Santa Clara Valley Medical Center as the administrative director of the Department of Pathology and Laboratory Medicine. I directed the technical and administrative functions of a highly complex laboratory. We had about 3.4 million billable tests per year. I managed an annual budget of about 230 million, and I had staff of about 260. I also taught laboratory management, law, and regulations at San Jose State University. But frankly, that's all the dry technical stuff. I thought to myself, do you really want to hear all of that, or do you really want to hear some exciting stories? And I thought, yeah, they want to hear some exciting stories. So one of the things that I thought about in my career was, what were all of the weird specimens and cases that we saw? Should I tell them about the 30-pound tumor that turned into a 12-foot long tapeworm when it was removed from the patient? Or how about the eyeball that we received from the coroner's office? We had to extract and test the vitreous humor in order to determine if the patient had been killed by a poison. And because we were a highly complex toxicology lab and the only one in the area, we were sent the eyeball from the coroner's office. But I thought that would take too long. I have too many stories like that. So I thought I'd start at the beginning and the end of my career. In the beginning, when I was a small child, I loved anything miniature. This is a picture of me, 4 years old at Christmas. My brother got miniature trucks. I was enthralled with the size of those trucks. Big trucks, these were little. I loved them. When I was 8 years old, I declared, I want to work in a laboratory. I was 8. I asked for a microscope for Christmas. My parents were great parents. They gave me a microscope. It wasn't a toy. It was a real microscope. The first thing I did is put up a sign on my bedroom door. Laboratory work in progress, do not enter. The neighbor boy and I decided to look at everything under the microscope. We looked at leaves, we looked at dirt, we looked at bugs, we looked at squish spiders, we looked at our own spit. But I longed for something more. I longed for blood. So I got a needle out of my mother's sewing basket and I gingerly stuck his finger. No blood. So I went back and got a giant darning needle. You know how big they are? I jabbed him. Bless his heart, a lot of blood. I looked at that blood for weeks. I looked at it thin, thick, wet, or dry. I stared at that blood. The next year, I requested a chemistry set for Christmas, and I got my chemistry set. So naturally, when I went to college, what did I do? I majored in microbiology and minored in chemistry. I was fortunate to be hired at Santa Clara Valley Medical Center. Now, Santa Clara Valley Medical Center is a very different type of hospital. Many of you only know it as the county hospital, where people go when they might not be able to afford something else. But Santa Clara Valley Medical Center is a public safety net hospital of high complexity. It offers services that no one else does. And for that reason, all of the Stanford residents do their rotation at Valley because of our high complexity and case mix. For instance, we have a burn unit. No one has a burn center. We have a spinal cord rehab. So if someone is paralyzed, they go there. As a matter of fact, Christopher Reeve was going to choose our hospital, but went to the only other rehab of our complexity in Colorado because it was closer to his home. We are neonatal ICU. We have acute psych services, mental health services, drug and alcohol, public health, and we have an extremely complex case mix and acuity, which makes working there one of the most exciting careers you can ever have because they see everything. For instance, anthrax after 9/11, I had an FBI agent show up in my office. He was shocked. He says, "Why do you have anthrax?" And I thought, because it's a disease that people can get. And because we have such a high complex caseload, that's where people like that come. Additionally, the Department of Pathology and Laboratory Medicine is a highly complex laboratory offering services that most laboratories don't offer. We're federally classified as highly complex, and we have numerous specialties. Most labs have specimen collection and processing and lab information services, hematology, but most places don't have special chemistry or toxicology. Many have transfusion and coag. But we have a very complex microbiology department. For instance, we do all of the TB testing for the whole county. We also have a virology lab. We don't just test for viruses, we grow viruses. That's a very unusual situation. We also had the only original SARS case back in 2003 when SARS first came, the coronavirus first came, and we had the only case there at Santa Clara Valley Medical Center. We have pathology, histology, and cytology, autopsy, and more. We served as the reference lab for all of the hospitals in the area and also for Quest and LabCorp because we had such specialty services. So it was an incredibly exciting place to work. We were often asked by vets to test animal specimens because of our toxicology department. A dog would eat antifreeze. We'd have to determine whether it was in their blood or whether it'd been poisoned by something else. We averaged about 3,000 specimens a day. That's a lot of specimens, you guys, with a lot of patient data. So we saw a lot of normal, but we saw the abnormal specimens that most people don't ever see. So I worked originally when I graduated in hematology, which is a study of red and white cells and other blood components. Now, most of you have had a CBC, right? Complete blood count. You know what you can tell by a complete blood count? Whether a person is infected, whether that infection is virus or bacterial, whether they have parasites, whether they have allergies, whether they have a spleen. Sometimes you can detect cancer. You can detect sometimes a person's race and also their age. And when I first worked in hematology, because of our neonatal ICU, I saw many, many baby CBCs. And babies have the most beautiful blood. It's so new. The red cells are so plump and they have a different shape. And that shape goes and changes to an adult shape at probably 3 months, right around there. But you can always tell a baby. And it's really fascinating to look at baby's blood under the microscope. But I only worked a couple of years in hematology before I moved on to microbiology. And then I moved into medical informatics, which was just a blossoming field at that time. I could go into long stories about medical informatics, but we won't for interest of time. I also was recruited to Houston, Texas to develop software for hospitals, laboratories throughout the United States, including Mayo Clinic and Cedars-Sinai, and of course, my own laboratory. And then I was recruited back as the administrative director. In my 20 intervening years as administrative director, I want to give you an example of the kind of big projects that we tackled. We installed a pneumatic tube system throughout the whole campus, building to building. We linked it to an automated chemistry line and then linked it to the laboratory information system, which means that a nurse or a physician could send us a specimen from a remote building, within minutes, get it into the lab, put it on an automated line, within minutes, have it spun down, sipped, tested, and the result back to the ordering location. And because Valley Medical Center is a level 1 trauma, those requirements are very robust. There were times we had to meet a 5-minute or a 15-minute turnaround because someone was in our ER bleeding out. So those are the kind of projects we worked on that were so fascinating for us. But my career came full circle one day when Fish and Game walked into my office and said, "We have a baby whale stranded in the estuary, and we need your help in finding out what's wrong with that baby." And so I walked the specimen over to the lab, and I looked at the blood of the baby whale under the microscope. And do you know what I saw? I saw blood that looked so much like a human baby that I was filled with profound gratitude for the incredible career that I had and a profound mystery of what life is all about. It just blew me away. And after that, I retired and I came here to sit on your board. And one of the things that I love most about being here is that each of you have those kind of exciting careers and lives. And I've enjoyed so much serving on your board and meeting all of you. So thank you very much. Baby whale. They never found out.
So much for miniaturization.
So much, yes. I ended up with the big whale.
Wow. I was like captivated that whole time. I never knew Jody was so excited about blood. And I get a question, Jody. Have you kept in contact with that neighbor boy?
I wish. We moved away. I think I should hunt him down on the internet because he's such a part of my life.
If he only knew what that blood sample that he provided did to help create such a remarkable career. Wow. Thank you, Jody. And thank you again for all your service on the advisory board. It's a true privilege for us to be able to work with you. Thanks, Jody. Okay, Linda Price, our Director of Sales and Marketing, couldn't be here today. So I'm going to channel my inner Linda. I don't have the high heels, but I'll do my best. We would like to welcome any new residents that are joining us here in the State of the Business meeting for the first time. Do we have any new residents with us today? And if so, would you mind standing so we can see you? Great. Ms. Elaine, and I'm not even going to try before we have you tell us your name.
Shield. It's very long and complex.
Elaine Canern Shield. All right, welcome. Ms. Canern Shield has moved into E324. Welcome, we're so glad that you're here. And we look forward to getting to know you. If you'd like to volunteer for any committees, we would gladly find a spot or two for you. Also, Mr. Marlon Smith, who I don't know if he's actually physically moved in yet. Thank you. Perfect. Wonderful. So Mr. Smith will be moving in shortly to N357. And we also have Ms. Honor Spitz, who is moved into M150. And Mr. Lewis Carson, who will soon be moving into Q263. He is moving up from Southern California and will be moving into the community shortly. We have one available apartment that is currently not officially reserved yet, but we anticipate it will be shortly, and that is Q168. So we'd like to again welcome Ms. Ms. Elaine, that's okay, and all of our other new residents to the community. We're so glad that you're here. We have two couples that are scheduled to be moving into the community over the course of the next month. And so we'd just like to mention them. We have, and some of you may know some of these future residents as well. Ms. Carol and Tom Boyce will be moving into F101. And, oh, my handwriting is terrible. LaDon or Levon and Dawn Hardy will be moving into D129. And I think they're both scheduled to move in towards the end of October, if I'm not mistaken. So we look forward to welcoming them to the community as well. Would also like to acknowledge the newest member of our sales team, standing in the back, EJ, if you wouldn't mind. Welcome, EJ. EJ is now working closely with Jana Burtis, who's also in the back, as well as Linda Price in our sales department. And EJ is on his third week, if I'm not mistaken. And he's doing a great job as our sales assistant. EJ stands for Elton John, from what I understand. No, I'm not sure, but I don't think it's Elton John. Again, welcome, EJ. As far as the other levels of living within the community, in the lodge assisted living, we're at 43 occupied units out of 45. One is reserved and one is tentatively reserved for a resident pending internal transition. And then memory support in the Grove, we're at 14 occupied out of 16. One is officially reserved and one is also in that pending status for a potential internal transfer to memory support. And the health center occupancy as of today is 51 occupied beds out of a total of 59. And as Linda would mention, thank you all of you lovely residents for all that you do, especially the welcoming committee for making our new residents feel welcome and comfortable as they move into the community. All right, would now like to invite Christy Mckinney, our Human Resources Director, to come on up, and she'll give us a report from Human Resources.
Good afternoon, everyone. Glad to be here. So as usual, I'd like to give you an update on what's happening with our team members. So since we met last, we have 8 new team members that have joined our team. We have 2 in the lodge. We have an activity coordinator and a CNA. We have 1 resident assistant that has started in the Grove. As we mentioned, EJ in the sales department. We have a admissions nurse in our health center and a janitor that started. And I won't steal Jerry's thunder, but we also have a new team member in dining services. And I know he'll be talking more about that. So that was a total of 8 new hires. We have 5 candidates that have accepted offers. So we have 2 wait staff team members. I know Jerry is very, very happy about that. 1 person that will be working in the maintenance department, a medical records person in the health center, and a concierge. And I know Sandy's very excited about that. So that is what's happening. We have other candidates that are coming in for interviews. You probably see our signs that we post when you come into the screening station. We offer them a front row parking spot. So we're very excited that we're still able to have candidates come in person and do interviews. So we're always working hard on filling new positions or positions that have been vacated. So for anniversaries for October, we have 11 team member anniversaries. Of those 11, 3 team members have worked over 5 years. 3 team members have worked over 10 years, and we have 1 team member that is celebrating their 20-year anniversary. So that's pretty good. Out of 11 team members, that means 7 team members have worked over 5 years. So we're very, very happy that our team members are staying with us and they're providing extraordinary service to you. On the not such great note, our turnover is kind of going up a little bit. So we are hovering over about 19% in our turnover, which is still excellent compared to what's out there in the greater community. But definitely, we're always working on improving our employee team member relations, and very excited about that. So that is my report for HR. Does anybody have any questions? Oh, yes.
What percentage of turnover is related to COVID issues?
That's a good question. We haven't really, we've had only 1 team member, to my knowledge, that has left because of any type of COVID related issue. So that really hasn't become a big thing, but that's a great question. Oh, I did want to let you know, place on your calendars, we are going to do an abbreviated version of our multicultural event. For those of you that have lived here for many years, you know that we do a huge day event. We're going to still do something, but just a little bit on a smaller scale. And that's scheduled for Friday. I think it's November 5th, whatever the first Friday is of November. So we are looking forward to that. And we have a planning meeting set up next week. Anything else? All right. Thank you for your time and attention.
Thank you, Christy, for that report, and thank you for the hard work that you do in human resources. This now more than ever, our human resources team is well, they're always working really hard, but working especially hard right now. With the labor market the way it is, the recruitment efforts are in full force, and I'm so glad to see that those efforts are paying off with 8 new team members over the course of the last month. Now, would like to invite Jerry Austin, Director of Dining Services, to come up and provide us an update from the dining team.
Thank you, everyone. It's a wonderful pleasure to be able to speak to you about the world of dining. Today, to start off, I want to take a moment to introduce you to our newest member of the management team. I have a young lady here next to me who has just finishing up about her first week and a half. Her name is Karen Koo, and she is our newest sous chef. Karen has been a wonderful addition to the team. She has jumped right in and is already earning the respect of the team members. And we're just truly excited to see, what she's going to bring to the team, because we know that she's going to bring a lot. With that, I'm going to give Karen just a couple of minutes so she can talk to you a little bit about herself. So Karen.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Karen Koo. My background is I've worked in some restaurants here at the Bay Area and mostly in hotels. Yeah, sorry. Yeah, I worked in a few restaurants here at the Bay Area and more than 12 years in hotel. So coming in here is a whole new experience for me, and I'm really excited and happy to be a part of this community. And thank you for giving me this opportunity to be a part of the family. Yeah.
Thank you, Karen. We're extremely excited to have you on board as well. So for my part of the presentation, I wanted to take a moment to update you on the items which we continue to have issues with. Primarily the supply chain. As everybody knows, this is an ongoing issue. Some of the things that we're running into that I wanted just to bring to your attention, so that if you see something all of a sudden looks a little different than it normally does, or it's missing from the menu, you know that there's probably a good reason. So right now, many of the things are the prepared items. So potato chips, French fries, muffins, scones, cookies, all the good stuff. Those are becoming hard to get. We're finding that we're being shorted on different items. Some of it goes back to production issues, where the vendors that are actually producing these items are not able to keep up with the need due to staffing shortages. And some of it is just delivery issues as well. As you may have heard, there's some issues with truck drivers and getting trucks out on the road and getting the product to the end user, which is us. And a lot of that is part of the problem. Paper products continue to be an issue as well. Fresh fish, surprisingly, is becoming somewhat of an issue. Case in point was trout. We've had trout on the menu a couple of times, and kind of a surprise to us. That morning we found out, well, we're going to serve rockfish because trout wasn't available and they substituted. Most recently, something kind of surprising is the individual packs of jelly. Something that a lot of folks use with their toast, and it's kind of a handy item to have. We're finding workarounds. So buy it in bulk and put it in a little 2-ounce container so that we have product to use. But if you see that showing up and wonder where'd my packs of jelly go, now you know. We appreciate your patience and understanding when the items aren't available, and also when something shows up that is a little bit different. Every now and then I get a comment about, well, French fries must have been substituted again because they're just not as good. And yes, those ones that we normally get are awesome, and we hate to see them get substituted out as well. But we are doing everything we can to keep the items in stock, and we're looking at all avenues. I know yesterday I walked over to Lunardi's to pick up a case of something that we needed just so we could have it. So whatever we can find it, wherever we can find it, we're going to look for it. Delivery issues are becoming more problematic for us as well. Something that we had happen that has not happened before is last week we had a delivery that was scheduled for Friday, and it was pushed back a whole day. Many times it gets pushed back maybe an hour or two, or sometimes it's supposed to be a morning delivery that shows up in the afternoon. This got pushed back an entire day. And this was our main broadline supplier, Cisco. So it greatly impacted what we were able to do that day. Luckily, Chef had planned ahead a little bit, and it didn't hurt the day's menu too much, but it was a bit of a struggle when all of a sudden you realize that the food you're expecting isn't coming. He is trying to order as much ahead and plan ahead, but just so you know, we are kind of at the mercy of the vendors and the distributors too. Just a brief update on labor. We currently have an offer out for 2 individuals, 3, that sounds like. One, I don't know if it's going to go through or not. He hasn't got back to us, unfortunately, but it sounds like we've got 2 servers that have accepted, which is great. Bradley was kind enough to put in a signing bonus into effect for the dishwashing position, and it has helped generate a lot of interest in the position. We just haven't had a whole lot of bites on it yet. And I know a few residents have brought some attention to the position as well. We appreciate that. I've had a few people reach out to me and ask me about the positions to get more detail so they could pass that along, and we're always willing to do that. So in total, we're short about 6 team members in dining right now. It's a little better than what it's been, but we're still short. 4 dishwashers, we're missing an evening cook, and we just recently have a tray line individual that had transferred to a community down south. So lastly, as we've said before, we love hearing everybody's feedback, and we have a great community for getting that feedback. We love the constructive criticism and comments that come from everybody, and we just ask that those keep coming. What I'd like to throw out, though, is those comment cards. We'd like to give another use for them as well. Chef has been working diligently on coming up with some great ideas, and I think he's doing a wonderful job at the menu. But we'd like to hear from you. What kind of things would you like to see? Is there an item that is a family favorite or a regional favorite that you've not seen here? If you got an idea, throw it on the back of that comment card, hand it to whoever's at the host station, or drop it off in my box on my door, and we'll do what we can do to make it happen. So that's all I got today. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Jerry, for that report and for all that you do for dining services. A resident came to me a little while ago, a few weeks ago, maybe a little longer now, and said, I don't know if you have this award, but if you have an award for the most improved department, that award goes to dining services. And I agree. Thank you very much, Jerry. Now, would like to turn the microphone over to Sandy Marisol, our Resident Services Director, for an update from Resident Services.
Good afternoon, everybody. I just have a couple of things to bring today to this meeting. First one is, I know ladies have contacted me, a few of them, about Margarita. Margarita is our hairstylist in the salon. She has been out for a few days because she was sick, but she told me this morning that she'll be returning tomorrow. So normally she gets into work around 8 o'clock. Also a question about Anna, our manicurist pedicurist. She normally works Wednesdays, but if she has some of you that have scheduled for a manicure pedicure, she comes in on a Saturday as well. The other thing that I would like to bring up today is Dr. Sanguisa, our podiatrist. He and I had a little bit of a chat last week, and he has decided to come to TLG on the 3rd Saturday of each month instead of the 2nd Saturday. His schedule has changed a bit, so he asked if we could do that, and of course we can. So he will be here on October 16th this month. That is about 2 weeks. And if you've already signed up for the podiatry for October 9, you will be moved to October 16. Times will be given to those who have made appointments, and our concierge will call you about the time. And that's all I have for today. Do you have any questions? All right, no questions. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you very much, Sandy. All right, I've got a few items to announce. I know everyone's most exciting topic is COVID. I know we all love hearing about COVID. I'll make it quick. Our current case count for our community of residents and team members is 2. We have 1 team member and 1 resident that are currently positive for COVID-19. Both of them are in isolation. Actually, both of them are away from the community at this time. And we wish them a speedy recovery and return to the community. Let's see. We also, as a reminder, all team members, as well as contracted workers, are required to be fully vaccinated, as well as, unless they have an approved exemption for medical or religious reasons. Also, on the subject of vaccinations, I know everyone is anxious to hear about booster shots. So I have a little bit of information to share on booster shots. So we have confirmed 2 dates where we will have on-site vaccination booster shot clinics here at the terraces for residents. We have some days that will be dedicated for team members and 2 days dedicated for residents. And those dates are November 4th and November 11th. So on those 2 days, all residents in all levels of living will have the option to receive a booster shot here on site. And now this is just for, which I think fortunately most of our residents had their original vaccinations utilizing the Pfizer vaccine. So if you received your Pfizer vaccine and you completed both shots over 6 months ago, then you would be eligible to receive the booster shot. We'll have more information in the next couple of weeks about specific times, locations, and what needs to be done to sign up, and any associated paperwork that would need to be completed in advance. Judy Lovell.
If we got our booster shot at another location, do we provide the community with any information or?
So thank you for that question. The question, if anyone didn't hear, is if a resident has already received their booster shot at a different location, is there anything that they should do? It would be best to notify the wellness department, and you can either notify the wellness director, Agnes Toribio, by email, or if you have a copy, you could drop it off at the wellness clinic. It would be great to be able to have that on file. Masks are still required, so thank you all for wearing them still. Also, all visitors, as a reminder, are required to either be fully vaccinated or provide a copy of a negative COVID test that was taken within 72 hours to the start of the start, within 72 hours before the start of the visit. You'll see some information both on TLG Connect. I think it went up yesterday or the day before, but you'll also see the information in the weekly updates today. There's a study that will be starting shortly, conducted by Biogen Research. And I don't have a lot of, I don't know a whole lot about it, other than it's a study, well, let's see. It's a study to monitor cognitive performance and identify early signs of mild cognitive impairment utilizing Apple Watches. So if you are interested in participating in this study, in the weekly updates, there's a flyer with more information. You can also find more information at the website www.intuitionstudy.com. Also, if anyone isn't aware, our therapy team is hard at work in many, many different ways. Each month, they produce a newsletter called Living Well. Some of you have probably seen it. If you haven't and you're interested, there are copies available at the concierge desk. It's a weekly, or not a weekly, a monthly newsletter, again, developed, created by our in-house therapy team. Another thing that our therapy team has done recently is they, like all of us, have recognized the physical toll that this past year and a half through the pandemic has had on many of us. And so they have started some exercise classes in each level of living that are planned and taught by our therapy team. In the Grove in memory support, there's a therapeutic movement class on Thursdays. In the health center, there's a chair yoga class on Wednesdays at 11:30. For assisted living residents in the lodge, there's a total body stretch class that will be taking place on Fridays at 10 o'clock, and that's in the Shasta room. And for our residential living residents, a total body stretch class on Wednesdays at 10 o'clock here in the GRA. So if you haven't done so already, I encourage you to give it a shot. For our residential living residents, again, Wednesdays at 10 o'clock here in the GRA. And for our assisted living residents, Friday at 10 o'clock in the Shasta room. A quick comment about resident IT support. Many of you have had the opportunity to meet Sangeeta, who's our new on-site IT administrator. We're so glad that she is here. And also, most of you have probably met Kendall Bonnie, who's in the back. Kendall and Sangeeta are working hard to make sure that all resident IT requests are fulfilled in a timely and effective manner. For those of you who may not be aware, requests for IT support can be made through TLG Connect, also through the kiosk located at the concierge desk. And there are two new ways to request IT support. There's a dedicated phone line that you can call, and that number is 408-357-1109. And there's a dedicated email address that you can email your requests for support. And this one's a little bit of a mouthful, but it's tlgresidentitsupport@humangood.org. Next, we're excited about a collaboration between the TLG Community Advisory Board, as well as TLG the Resident Services Department and Jewish Family Services to provide a couple of great programs that are available to all residents here at the community. The first one is called Coming Up for Air. And this is a non-sectarian support group for anyone who wants to talk about their thoughts, feelings, and concerns as we all learn to live in this new normal world. You can learn how to cope with emotions and hear how your peers have managed to stay grounded throughout the past year and a half. That group meets every second and fourth Tuesday in the Redwood Room. And again, that one is called Coming Up for Air. And there's another group that is a grief and loss support group. And just a comment about that, navigating grief and loss can be challenging and painful, and you don't have to do it alone. This group is for anyone struggling with grief and loss and looking for a safer space to share their journey. You can learn how to cope with difficult feelings and move through hard emotions as the group gently explores stories, memories, and healing pathways together. That group is on the first and third Monday of the month, also in the Redwood Room. The details of both of those groups are included in the weekly updates today. Last but certainly not least, we are very, very close, I hope, to being able to announce a new spiritual care director for the community. We have extended an offer to a very, very wonderful candidate, and we are working on finalizing the details and hope to have a formal announcement to make within the next week, if not sooner. So stay tuned. We know that's an incredibly important position, and we really wanted to make sure we found the right person. We found that person, and it's just a matter of whether or not we can seal the deal. So fingers crossed, and we hope to have an announcement soon. That is all that I had on the agenda for today. We have a total of 2.5 minutes left for questions. We'll start here with Linda Sampson.
What happened to the team member of the month award?
The question is, what happened to the Team Member of the Month award? The Team Member of the Month award has been temporarily paused as we re-strategize on the best way to do it. The Team Member of the Month award is a great program. Only it recognizes one out of 200 plus team members each month. And so we are really trying to figure out a better way to do it. We haven't finalized exactly what the program will look like, but we hope to have a final determination soon on how we will revive the Team Member of the Month program in a slightly different fashion. Any other questions, comments, or feedback? Ms. Pinkston.
Do you have any idea how long it might be before we can stop wearing masks outside?
Question is, do we have any idea how long it will be until we can stop wearing masks outside? The short answer is no. Slightly longer answer is we have a call every other Wednesday with the Santa Clara County Department of Public Health. And there hasn't, to be honest, been a whole lot of discussion about masks specifically in outdoor areas. So we can make sure that we bring that up in our meeting with them next Wednesday and see if they have any guidance or anticipated guidance on masks outdoors within the community. Ms. Shane.
Time ago, our request is that we have milk available in our apartments, and Jerry has followed through with that. So it's been wonderful.
Great, thank you for that comment. There was a request about being able to access milk through dining services, and Jerry has followed through with that. So great job, Jerry and your team. There was another hand somewhere. Mr. Clemmer.
Is house cleaning resumed?
The question is house cleaning resumed? Vincent? Yes. Yes. Ms. Papanastas.
They're installing an automatic door on our refuse. I saw somebody told me that, making a lot of noise yesterday. And I just wondered, do you know anything about that?
So the comment/question was, they are installing an automatic door on the refuse room, one of the refuse rooms, and it's making a lot of noise.
Yes, I just wondered, is that the only one they're doing it to, or? I should have asked.
Vincent, do you want to mention anything about that?
Yeah, so there's been a lot of requests that the refuse rooms doors are heavy and cumbersome and difficult for most of you residents. So I'm trying out an automatic door operator and on the 3rd floor refuse room of M building. So we're kind of playing with the installation. It's a little bit tricky finding electrical and getting everything in place, but there'll be a trial automatic door for the refuse room. And if this works out well, we do plan to hopefully carry it out to the rest of the refuse rooms throughout the community.
How do I find out where the compost rooms are?
There might have been something sent out about that already, but in the meantime, we can resend out a notification where all the locations for the refuse rooms are.
I know there's one on the 3rd floor in
Yes.
the N building, I guess it is. I'm
Yeah.
not sure what number that is.
end building, second and third
Find
floor.
Another one, other than the ones that are here in the courtyard.
There's one in Q, one in L, and then we have the two compost bins on the fountain courtyard.
Okay.
Thank you, Vincent. Any other questions, comments before we close? Mr. Joy in the back.
Way back, we used to have a singing group on Monday morning. I'd like to see that reinstated.
Okay, great, thank you. The comment was way back, there was a singing group on Monday mornings, and we'd like to see that reinstated. So we'll take note of that and see if and when that may be a possibility. On that note, to close, another group that we used to have that is now back is line dancing. So everyone who may be interested in line dancing, even if you're not interested in line dancing, you have the opportunity to become interested in line dancing every Wednesday here in the GRA at 3 o'clock. And on that positive note, we'll call it a meeting. Thank you all so much for being here and enjoy the rest of your afternoon.
Oh my God.